Thank you, Lenny, for what a great every day is a great show. You know, it's nothing new that we get all these nuggets. I love your story, Lenny, about the bet between the Cardinal players on who's going to get the most stolen bases. I mean, you just don't get that stuff on any other network other than from Lenny from Long Island on Lenny Melnick, fantasysports.com. Good morning, everybody. This is Arnie, and welcome to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. We're going to talk about just some current headlines, and I want to dig deep. I'm going to be looking in the chat room this morning. I want to see what everyone is talking about in response to some of this stuff. You know, the story out of Colorado this morning is interesting, huh? Third baseman, all-star, MVP candidate Nolan Arenado, he was pretty clear yesterday on where he stands with the Rockies. General Manager Jeff Bridich told the Denver Post, reading the Denver Post this morning, that he expected to begin 2020, quote, with Nolan in the purple and black as our third baseman so we can put this to bed. And then Arenado responds by way of text. And don't you just love social media and texting and how we can just instantly get a response and a reaction out of people? So Arenado responds on MLB.com saying, quote, there's a lot of disrespect from people there that I don't want to be a part of. And he goes on to say, you can quote that. Yeah. I mean, wow. Pretty strong, huh? He then says, you ask what I thought of Jeff Bridich's quotes, and I say I don't care what people say around here. There's a lot of disrespect. Then asked what was said that he found particularly disrespectful. Arenado says, no, I'm not going to get into the details. Oh, come on. If you're going to get it started, finish it, right? Arenado then clarified later, saying he wasn't mad about the trade rumors. There was more to it than the trade rumors. Bridich said he would respond soon to Arenado's comment. So it's not over. And Lenny said, and I was listening to you, thank you. Good morning, Andrea. I was listening to Lenny talk about how Arenado going public, it just harms the Rockies' trade position. Well, it probably does, but apparently that's exactly what Arenado's trying to do. He's trying to harm the Rockies however he can. So this isn't over. But it was Arenado's first statement after the winter meetings when teams were inquiring about acquiring the all-star third baseman. You know, he's in the second year, getting ready to enter into the second year of an 8-year, $260 million deal. It is a full non-trade clause, but it does allow Arenado to opt out after next year, after the 2021 season. He signed the deal last spring, seemed happy as a lark to sign this deal, staying in Colorado. The Rockies had been to the postseason the previous 2 years, but last year, remember, they finished 20 games under 500, 71 and 91. Poor pitching, poor bullpen. They had injuries. The lineup slumped. And Arenado was quoted in The Athletic at the end of the year saying, quote, and I remember reading this at the end of the year, made some notes on it, it feels like a rebuild. Although the full context, he said he realized players were playing for 2020. He needed to lead by example. And he's made it clear that the club needs to make improvements. The Rockies have done nothing. Good morning, Phil Chaplin. The Rockies have done nothing this offseason. They've not made any trades. They've not signed any free agents. Arenado's 28, 5-time All-Star, Gold Glove winner. He's hit 37 homers in each of the past 5 seasons, hitting .315 and 41 home runs last year. He's ready to be on a winning team. And so he's frustrated. It appears that ownership is frustrated over the long contract. And so now what we're looking at is you've got a frustrated player on a last-place team who wants to be traded. He's 28 years old, in his prime. And the question is, Who needs a third baseman? Atlanta Braves. I mean, are the Atlanta Braves not the perfect fit, seemingly, for Nolan Arenado? And here's why I say that. They've got the prospects. You could send Pache. You could send pitchers. There's a lot that you can do if you're Atlanta to get creative, to get Nolan Arenado. And then this talk of Camargo or Riley alternating or what at third. I mean, get Arenado on that team. And is Atlanta now not a World Series candidate? I mean, come on. This just seems to me too obvious. Arenado wants out. Probably is a rebuild in Colorado. Chadrim, what do you think? Is Atlanta the best fit? Is there a better fit? I don't see him traded to the Dodgers. I don't like teams trading within division. I guess if you're looking at it from a financial standpoint, Arenado is due $35 million this year. The Rockies have commitments to Charlie Blackmon, $21 million. Wade Davis, $17 million, plus a $1 million buyout on a 2021 mutual option, which becomes a $15 million player option if he finishes 30 games. They've got Ian Desmond they're owed $15 million to this year. Daniel Murphy, $8 million plus a $6 million buyout 2021 option. Commitments of $9 and $9.5 million to Brian Shaw and Jake McGee. Also, they have arbitration-eligible shortstop, first-round fantasy draft pick Trevor Story, who only made $5 million last year, and he's seeking $11.5 million. The club has offered $10.75. John Gray avoided arbitration, signing for $5.6. What I'm getting at is the Rockies have a lot of money tied up, and no one is getting younger. And $35 million for Arenado. Do you think Colorado makes the playoffs this year with Arenado? Probably not. I don't think so. Do they make it without him? Probably not. Well, definitely not. So could they get 3 or 4 really good prospects for Arenado, and could they come from the Atlanta Braves? Certainly. I think there's more story coming out of Colorado. I think the Braves are in the mix. I got to believe it. I want to welcome Andrea to the chat room. She's already told me good morning. Good morning, Andrea. And I want to know how the draft guide's coming along, because I want to be the first one to buy one. If I can go ahead and do it now, let me know. I want to put my money in. I want to get that draft guide. It's going to be awesome, I know. Can't wait to see it. Corona, good morning. Doug Boyle, good morning. Lenny, good morning. NYC, good morning. Phil Chaplin, Timothy Hooker. We've got some guests in the chat room this morning, and I so wish you guys would register. I'd love to know who I'm talking to. Guest Matilda, guest Sharon, and guest Stevie. But it's great to have you. Speaking of the Braves, they have signed the pitcher formerly known as King Felix, now known as Chief Felix. They have signed Felix Hernandez to a minor league deal. Lenny mentioned it this morning. That includes an invitation to big league spring training and the 2010 American League Cy Young Award winner. He will earn $1 million if he is added to Atlanta's 40-man roster. Now, the last 2 years have been dreadful for Felix Hernandez. And if you could look at the first 6 or 7 years of his career, he earned 6 All-Star selections while having a AL Best 2.83 ERA over 230 starts that he made from 2009 through 2015. He's 33 years old. He posted a 3.83 ERA in 2016, but he lost his elite status. He's had a 5.42 ERA in just 60 appearances over the past 3 seasons combined. He's had injuries. There's been a lot of wear and tear on that arm. But if you think about it, the Braves really have nothing to lose here. I want to compare or contrast for a moment King Felix, Chief Felix, Felix Hernandez to CC Sabathia. Remember, CC was a 98, 99, 100 mile an hour left-handed power arm for Cleveland, for Milwaukee, and for the first few years in New York for the Yankees. And then it got sore, it got tired, and he had to redevelop. He had to become something else. And so CC comes up with this slider that gets hitters out. Now, certainly not the pitcher that he was before he retired this past season, but he was effective. The question I've got is, Hernandez, he has got to develop some type of off-speed pitch like that because he can no longer rely on the fastball. And it's a no-risk signing for the Braves. They have Soroka, my favorite, Mike Soroka, and they got Max Fried, and they got Mike Foltewicz, and they've got Cole Hamels. Hamels has been injured some too. They fill out the first 4 spots of rotation. So now you've got Newcomb, Kyle Wright, Hernandez, all looking and battling for that 5th starter role. Now, Newcomb has pitched out of the bullpen for Atlanta and can do that. I don't see King Felix pitching out of the bullpen. And the Braves still may add another veteran starter before the season begins. If Hernandez makes the Braves roster, pay attention to May 29 through May 31. That's when Atlanta travels to Seattle. And wouldn't it be great if he makes the roster, if he's in the rotation, if King Felix is on the mound in Seattle during that weekend trip? Wow. Good morning, chat room. Lenny spent a lot of time this morning talking about the Metropolitans. I was glued. You know, the thing about the Metropolitans and the biggest wild card to me, it's not Mats. It's not where do they play players. It's Yoenis Cespedes. To me, that's the biggest wild card. He's got the biggest upside and, of course, potentially the most downside. But Cespedes hasn't been a major league game since when? Since July 20th, 2018. And that's when calcifications and bone spurs in both heels placed him on the injured list. Earlier this month, we all heard, it's become a joke, right? Almost, that this bizarre run-in with a wild boar on his ranch in Port St. Lucie made him have a violent fall and ankle fractures, and he didn't play at all last year. So I guess we've gotten rid of the boar or eaten him or something. Cespedes reportedly is now sprinting. Yes, sprinting. He's had his contract restructured. Instead of $29.5 million, he was slated to making this his final year. Remember that final year of a 4-year deal. He's only now guaranteed $6 million, but he can have incentives to increase that to almost double that if he makes the opening day roster. I think this incentive deal is exactly what a player like Yoenis Cespedes needs. And I personally think he's going to come back with a vengeance this year. I really do. I like drafting Yoenis Cespedes late in drafts if he's available. I think he's going to play. I think he's going to hit. And I think the Mets, yes, here we go. I think the Mets are going to make the playoffs in 2020. The pitching is there. And can you imagine Yoenis Cespedes' numbers in this Mets lineup, hitting around Alonso, driving in a lot of runs? The pitching is there. I like the Mets to make the playoffs. I think there are going to be at least 2 teams, if not 3, from the National League East in the playoffs this year. I'll go ahead and tell you, I like the Dodgers. I like the Diamondbacks. I like the Reds. I like the Cardinals. I like the Mets, Braves, and Nationals. And the Phillies, I don't round them out. I don't count them out. So right there, I have named, 10 teams for 6 spots. And I think the National League is going to be a lot of fun this year. A lot more strong teams than in the American League. I mean, if you look at the American League,